All right, welcome, Jonathan. Where are you? You go by the Keto Colombian, I see. That's your moniker, I guess. I assume you're Colombian, maybe, perhaps, or is that too
I,
much to
I
assume?
am, yeah, I am Colombian. I was adopted when I was a couple days old from Bogota.
I got you. Okay, so you grew up in the U.S. then, or
Yep, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
okay, so you don't really have a Colombian,
No,
other than being born. That's like me. I was born in Germany, and so but my dad was a military guy, so I didn't spend much time there. Can't speak German or the darn few words. I apologize. I just got done rowing, and I'm just sweaty and just it was a pretty hard one this
good.
morning. So anyway, I try to sneak in my training around work times, and sometimes I make it. Sometimes I run a minute behind. But well, tell me. So where are you now? Minneapolis.
Yep, Minneapolis.
Okay, so cold. It's definitely not Bogota for sure. That's from the weather
Exactly.
standpoint. So tell me, for those that may not be familiar with you, and to be honest, I'm not that familiar, so much familiar with what I could catch and read about a little bit recently. Tell us a little bit about your story, if you don't mind. How old are you and stuff?
I am 44 years old.
So young
I
guy.
young guy. Yeah, it's getting up there. I started the keto diet or keto lifestyle back in April of 2018,
Okay.
and that was shortly after I saw a picture of myself with my family on the couch, and I was like, "Oh my God, who is that guy?" So I kind of dove into keto, basically on the internet. Just followed a couple people, learned a couple things, and quick side story to the Keto Colombian. I started following right away Vinny Guadino from Jersey Shore,
Okay.
the Keto Guido.
Okay. I've heard that name. Okay.
Yeah, and I was sitting on my couch one night, and I'm like, it just popped in my head, the Keto Colombian. Hey, that'll work.
There you
So
go.
that's how that came about.
Okay.
But
And so I mean, just tell me, because a lot of people probably, I would bet, I mean, at least a significant minority of people in this group had a ketogenic background. I know I did. I came from keto to carnivore. Tell me, what happened going from, well, what were you before that? I mean, some people are plant-based, some people are standard American diet. Where did you go? How did you progress? Was there benefits to keto for you?
yeah, I was full on standard American diet, the sad way of living. I'm the general manager of a bar and restaurant in downtown Minneapolis here, and that's been my career since I was 20 years old. So I grew up in my adult life just eating horribly, eating all the restaurant food, drinking, partying, and all that stuff. And it's just going from the standard American diet into keto was something I needed to do to fix my body. Because, like I said, that picture was my wake up call. It was like, didn't even recognize myself. It was unbelievable. So,
Did you ever, I mean, obviously most people don't gain 50 pounds or over 100 pounds or whatever it is overnight, just wake up one day and all of a sudden you've gained 50 pounds, usually a slow progression over many years. Did at some point prior to that picture, did you ever say, hey man, I'm a little heavier, I'm not feeling good? And did you attempt to lose weight with other methods prior to?
yep. When I was, and actually, it's funny you say that. A picture just came up on Facebook. One of my cousins started a family group, and she posted a picture probably when I was about 22, 23 years old. And I'm in the background, but I was huge. And I remember that because I was pushing probably close to 280, 290 pounds. And from that point on, I do remember doing like crash diets, the thermogenic pills, the everything you could think of. I tried everything in between 20 years old up until now, or I should say a couple of years ago is when I started, but I've tried everything in the book. I'm sure, a lot of people out there have done the same thing. It's like you see something, oh, that might work. See this on the internet, I'm going to try that. So yeah, I've done it all.
And any successes with that stuff? I mean, because, there are people out there legitimately lose weight on low fat diets, on, high fiber diets. Did you manage to have any success with those types of strategies, even short term?
Short term for sure. Short term.
And what was it that led to the regain of weight? Was it coming off the diet, non-sustainability? I mean, craving continued, or what was the deal there?
It was coming off the diet with the cravings, the sugar cravings, the
Yeah.
carb cravings, the you eat one thing, one sandwich with a loaf of bread, and you're like, okay, well now I need more. So yeah, it was the cravings that just kept me coming back and back and back.
Yeah, I mean, people make the argument that, I mean, no one really has butter cravings. I mean, we just know, oh my God, I just need a big stick of butter. I mean, very rarely does that, but we add sugar with it. And then all of a sudden we've got, basically ice cream or something like that. Conversely, there are people who say, well, no one has just pure sugar cravings. You have to add the fat together. I mean, some people say, well, fruit is a non-fat sugar source. But many people say, well, you can't overeat that. I mean, I know I can put down, 8, 10 oranges in one sitting very easily. Calorically, what that is, it's not as much as if I ate the equivalent amount of ice cream, but so you have these cravings, and one of the things that I've said to many times to many people, whatever diet you're on, you're not going to be successful if you're constantly hungry or you don't like what you're eating. And I think that those two things stand, I mean, anyone can lose weight eating nothing but salad all day, but I mean, one, you're hungry all the time, and two, it tastes pretty bad. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you have to find something that, fills those bills. And so the keto, so what happened on keto? What were the events that happened to you that, made you decide I'm going to be the Keto Colombian? Because that's, once you start putting letters, names in front of your name, claiming some diet, you certainly get looked at a little weird. People tend to write you off. They tend to say, well, you're a wacko,
Yeah.
What were the benefits of keto for you?
I think the main benefit when I first started was the inflammation that went down, the puffiness, and like we've been talking about, the cravings. That was one of the biggest aspects of it, was just feeling better as a whole, not aching to get out of bed, not sounding like my grandpa getting off the chair. I would say the inflammation and just feeling better as a whole and getting rid of the cravings was my biggest point of starting keto, and the reason I started. There are drawbacks to keto. I do love the lifestyle, but the drawbacks as far as getting started, when you hop on the internet and you Google keto, you see a list of what you should eat. I did that. Salads, nut butters, all that stuff. And what I started feeling was, A, I started feeling better, but B, I was also always bloated still. And every time I ate a big salad, I was sprinting my butt to the bathroom. So, I mean, keto does help, but there's a reason that I switched from strict keto moving into carnivore. And a lot of that has to do with the bloating.
Yeah, I think part of the thing with keto, and there's a lot of people that do keto successfully. Obviously, there's millions and millions of people that have now done that. Some do better than others, and the problem I think with keto diet right now is it could be anything. I mean, there's so many ways to do it, so many wrong ways to do it, so much junk food that's in a ketogenic diet. So many, there's entire websites devoted to just keto junk food. I mean, whether it's desserts or whatever, 75 ways to make a keto cheesecake, 300 ice cream recipes, so right. You guys know what I'm talking about. You see it all the time. Mm-hmm. And all they do is put up a picture of dessert after dessert after dessert. And it's really no better. I mean, yeah, you throw stevia instead of sugar in there. Maybe there's a slight advantage, but still it's just junk food. And so how much of that was part of your diet, or were you a pretty whole foods guy? I know everybody says they are, but in reality, a lot of times it's like, well, I'm still, when I was doing keto, man, I mean, I ate a lot of meat. I mean, I was picking down the meat, but I was still making keto desserts. I was making the almond flour, cakes and pie crusts and, cheesecakes. And I mean, I look forward to that stuff because, deep down, we all are basically sugar addicts. So did that constitute any part of your diet, or were you just straight up whole foods and salads?
Nope, that was a major part of it because I have the biggest sweet tooth. And I'm sure everybody always says that I have the biggest sweet tooth, but oh my God, man, it was hard to switch from the sugar, but then when you start making these keto desserts, it's like, oh, I can make that keto. And then you fall into the same basic trap.
Yeah. And that's tough. I mean, it really is. And, because some people they never want to give that up. That wants to be always part of their life. And the problem is it doesn't become part of their life. It becomes a significant part of their life. And it's like, oh, it's Tuesday. I'm going to celebrate because I have my dessert on Tuesday, or it's my birthday, or my son's birthday, or my grandmother's birthday, or office party, or it's Friday, or I had a stressful day. And I mean, it goes on and on and on. And so it never ends. There's like right. People saying, it's the coronavirus. I need to stay home and eat junk food. I mean, there will always be stress in your life and it never goes away. So you just have to say, look, I'm tired of being sick. I'm tired of being fat. I'm tired of it. And, what are you going to do? Are you just going to talk about it? Are you going to dream about it? Are you going to wish about it? Or are you going to get off your ass and do something about it? And I think that's that's the part of the deal. And I hate to, do the tough love stuff in here, but you sometimes just got to put in the effort, and you got to put in the effort every day, and you got to do the hard work. And it's not that hard. It really isn't, because you can eat friggin' bacon, you can eat eggs, you can eat steak, you can eat good food that tastes good, that will be satiating. But anyway, not to turn this into my episode. So tell me a little bit more. So tell me some more stuff. What else is going on now?
So May of 2019 is when I switched into carnivore. I'm sure you've heard of her, Dr. Fit and Fabulous, Jamie Seaman.
Yeah, I know Jamie. Yeah.
Yep.
I've been with her a few times. Yeah.
She put up a challenge, a 30-day challenge, and I'd been reading more and more about carnivore, following you, following Paul Saladino, Danny Vega, the whole list of people. And, I thought, what the hell do I have to lose? 30 days, no nut butter, nothing. I can do this. So I did it, and it was like a next level of wellness from keto. It was like, oh my God, I haven't made a speeding trip to the bathroom after I ate. My digestion was 100% on point. I just felt better on every level. My mental health felt better. Just everything felt better. Sleeping better, cognitively felt better, and it was a real eye opener to understand how certain foods affect you, be it sugar, be it oxalates, be it whatever, and just learning more and more about it. So that's what really prompted me to start carnivore. And after that challenge, I did the Carnivore 75 Hard that Nutrition with Judy Cho put on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big one for me, because it was 75 days. It was over Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it was nothing, no keto treats, nothing sweet, just straight carnivore. And that really was like, all right, this is why I'm doing this. This is what's happening. I've started your book. I have Saladino's book, and it's just been completely eye-opening to switch into this carnivore lifestyle. So that's kind of the background of why I started carnivore. A lot of it obviously to do with you and the other leaders in the carnivore scene out there. So yeah, and that's where I'm at today.
So again, carnivore is a little bit easier for most people, but there are some variations in there. Some people are strict beef, salt, water. Some people are, a little bit more variety. I'm personally a little bit more variety, although I've gone many, many months, 6 months plus, on just straight up beef and water. I'm eggs, a little more seafood currently as I'm eating a little leaner. But what is your day-to-day over a week look like for you typically?
Over a week, I would say I'm mainly steak, eggs. I do have eggs almost every day. 1 or 2, sometimes 3. I do switch it up with sausage and hamburgers, and throw some seafood in there as well. So I have incorporated a little bit, throwing some avocado in here and there. So I don't know, a ketovore kind of, I guess, at this present moment. Because like I said, the 75 hard, that was 75 days of strict meat, water, salt, coffee with a little bit of heavy cream. I do like to have a little bit of variety, but I do also know and understand that if I go wolf down a big salad, I'm going to be hurting like a son of a you-know-what.
Yeah, I guess maybe this is the way I grew up, but I never liked vegetables and salad anyway. Even when I was on, Mark Sisson style primal or keto diet, I was reluctantly eating those things because I was convinced that the more that I ate, it was quote unquote healthy. I had to smother it in oil and bacon and eggs and whatever, so I could choke the stuff down. It was just kind of like, so when you, I like that ketovore, and there's metagenic diet, or keto carnivore keto. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of people that are, it's the sort of the overall thing of the carnivore diet is meat is where your nutrition comes from. The rest of the stuff is, I like Ash Simmons. I don't know if you guys are familiar with he goes by Carnivore's Creed. He put out a little chart. He said, this is food, and it's meats, meat, seafood, eggs, whatever. And then he's got like vegetable spice. These are seasonings, don't confuse it. One's not a food, and, there's people that put salt, pepper, and hot sauce and that stuff. And like I said, I think you got to find what makes it sustainable for you and makes it enjoyable. And I applaud you and anybody else that says, look, this is what works for me. And I know we've got Brett here that's like, to keep me from going crazy, I need to stay strict. There's other people that say, to keep me from going crazy, I need a little bit of variety. And I think both are acceptable in my view. And I think we, as a community, we'll go a lot farther with a little more inclusive attitude. What have been the negatives? Have you had any negatives, both physically, personally, or just in life? Because a lot of people get a lot of negativity directed towards them if they come out and say, hey, guess what? I eat meat and I like it, and it makes me feel good. I mean, that's in 2020 is a inflammatory statement, which I think if somebody would have said that 50 years ago, we'd be like, yeah, cool. And now we got such, I mean, I don't know, society has gotten crazy in my view.
Yeah, I think as far as negatives, it hasn't been like a huge, you're going to die type negative comment, but my parents, they're 68 or 72 or something. They're up there and they don't agree with it. I've shown them your book. I've shown them other books. I told them I'm going to send them your book when I'm done with it so they can read it and kind of understand a little more. It's the same old, you need your vegetables. You need to eat vegetables. My fiance is telling me all the time, you need to eat vegetables. You need more vegetables in your life. And I just say, no, I don't. Tell me, why do I need more vegetables?
Yeah.
My same comment is, do your research and then you can tell me why I need to eat more vegetables.
Yeah, like I said, I think as much as I understand the shortcoming in nutritional research, and it's really just, there's not really good research out there on this stuff. But as we do have a research study in progress, this sort of Harvard study, which collection period, if you guys haven't entered yet, it expires on Monday, so Monday will be your last chance to sign up. But that will be in the literature, and so some people will be able to, the people that say, well, I need a scientific reference, there we go, we have our first major one in there. And so and again, I'm not going to presume to know what the results are, because I have no idea. I mean, I have my guess that they're going to universally be generally overall pretty good, but we we'll have some of that, so that's a good sign there. So what do you, I mean, as somebody who owns a bar, I mean, how do you deal with that? Because I mean, obviously not everybody wants to eat. I mean, there are many people that eat steak in a bar, but I mean, you've got the food that probably, and the alcohol that's probably not the most conducive to health. How do you manage that?
Right. Well, I don't drink. I haven't really drank in about 2 years, 2.5, 3 years. So that's easy for me. The other part, our restaurant, we don't have steaks and all that. So I do make my adjustments. One thing that I really started doing once I got into carnivore heavy was 1 meal a day, which has worked amazingly for me, especially with my job, and intermittent fasting as well. So it's really just been easy for me. And my staff is always like, how are you doing this? You're nuts. How are you not eating? Why are you only eating this? So it's actually been easier than I thought. And I think a lot of that I can attribute to the satiety that you get from eating carnivore. And I'm just not hungry during the day. So it's been pretty, actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, I guess I assume, and I don't know if I'm making a correct assumption in Minnesota, your business is shut down right now, or is it to-go orders, or how are you dealing with that? Because there's obviously this viral pandemic that everybody's shut down for.
We are shut down. Yeah. My last day was March 17th. We tried to go where my location is, and it just didn't work for us. So yeah, we've been shut down.
Is there any talk about reopening timeframe in Minnesota? I know in California, or at least in Orange County where I'm at, they're talking about, we might have restaurants open as early as Monday here in Orange County, which is kind of interesting because California is a fairly fairly conservative state when it comes to the way they've been managing it. And like Texas and Georgia and some of the other ones that have opened things up a little more aggressively. What's Minnesota doing? Do we have an idea?
We are finding out today, actually. Our governor's going on. He was going to announce it yesterday, and he didn't say anything about it. But today he's expected to announce if he's going to extend the stay-at-home order. Hoping he doesn't. I mean, I do know that when we are allowed to reopen, it's going to be a whole different ballgame. It's not going to be how it was, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering, because you're in a bar, and is everybody in the bar going to have a mask on and be 6 feet away? I mean,
Right?
I'm just seeing how that, I just can't envision that particularly well. I mean, when you go to socialize, there's usually some proximity there, particularly in a restaurant bar or something like that. You know, obviously restaurant tables, you can separate the tables far enough, you know, I guess, but, you know, how long this will persist, I don't know, man. I mean, I hope it's not a permanent thing, because it just seems like, you know, anyway, I suspect there'll be some really significant pushback to this sort of stuff. And, you know, I mean, can you imagine wasting resources, police forces, whatever, to enforce these laws or these regulations? I mean, people don't stand next to each other, and if you do, you're going to get fined. They'd spend their entire budget enforcing this stuff. And so I saw something from the Houston Police Officers Association that was directed to me, because Harris County, which is in Houston, directed it. You must be wearing a mask outside at pretty much all times, is what the directive was. And they were asking the police to enforce that. And the police basically sent a letter from their chief of police, said, look, guys, the enforcement is up to officer discretion. And basically it's kind of like, you know, use some common sense and don't waste your time type of stuff. So, I mean, I think they're just going to have a hard time enforcing this stuff. So, but anyway, I know this is a very polarizing topic, and I don't want to keep dwelling on this as we do almost every day, but it's hard to get away from. So what lessons what mistakes have you made carnivore, or have you made adjustments? You know, like me, I mean, I've been doing this 3.5 years, and I kind of looked into it for about a year prior before I really did it full time. So I've been looking at this stuff for almost half a decade. And I mean, for me, I've kind of stayed true to the cause the whole time, although right now I'm eating a little bit leaner cuts to sort of lean out a little bit. But other than that, I haven't made significant changes. I kind of find it. How do you do with dairy? Dairy is one that often comes up that some people do better at than others.
Dairy, I'm fine with dairy. The only dairy I do have is some heavy cream in a coffee. Usually just save that for the weekends, and some cheese. That's about it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where some people just really do well with it. Some people, you know, just don't know dairy.
Yeah,
And it's
can't tolerate it.
How much, so you said you were huge, you were 280. Well, I don't know, I didn't get your height. Where are you at now? What's your weight at right now?
Last I weighed I was doing the Carnivore Keto cut with Danny Vega. I came in about 176. I've stayed off the scale since the quarantine.
So after about 100 pounds, you know, it's kind of funny. I was a guy that, you know, kind of pretty generally would jump on the scale every morning, just, I don't know, doing it for decades. And in the last 2 months since I've been leaning out, I haven't gotten on the scale because I don't want to know.
Yep.
I'm just like, I don't want to know how much weight I've lost, because I translate that to strength, and I see that I've lost a little bit of strength. It's not bad. It's about 5% of my top end stuff, which is acceptable for me given what my goals are, but hopefully I'll get some of that back. You know, are you doing anything else besides diet? Are you exercising? Are you changing your sleep? Are you, you know, any other kind of things to help out with overall health?
Yeah, exercising for sure. Before all this happened, I was in the gym 5-6 days a week. And then obviously we know gyms are closed. So that kind of changed a lot. But now that it's warmer out here in Minneapolis, I have started running a little bit more, just because I do enjoy the rower at the gym, which I started doing for Danny's Carnivore Keto cut. And I thought I would hate it, but I love the rower and I miss it. So yeah, getting outside, running. Not a lot to do with weights right now, but basically just staying busy for the most part, doing something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just got off the road right before I came in here. So I've had a love-hate relationship with that thing for a long time. Travis will understand. I pulled a sub 30-minute 8K at 19 strokes per minute today. So I was pretty pleased with that. So I was pretty happy on that one. It was a little bit of a bite. I had planned on going 152.9, and I went 152.4. Just kind of sucked it up and did it. So, but anyway, I'm not used to doing the long distance stuff, but that, you know, that's respectable for long distance for a guy that never rows it. So I was pretty happy with that. So, tell me, you know, are you finding? I mean, you know, you've got an Instagram, you know, social media account. I assume Instagram, some other people. Are you finding that you are? I mean, what is the purpose of that? Are you trying to influence people to do what you're doing? Are you having success with that? Are you doing it just to document your journey? What goes on, you know, with the social media sort of?
I think it started with just documenting my journey, just kind of getting it out there. You know, if somebody else wants to try it, they can talk to me. The biggest part was I think just getting people on the right mental health path, because it really helped me. I'm a huge advocate for mental health awareness, and starting that page, my Instagram page, was basically for that. Since then, I have enrolled in Mark Sisson's Primal Health Coaching Program. So I'm currently doing that, not as fast as I'd like to be doing it, but still doing it. And I think the long-term goal is just to obviously get that certification. And after that, the Meet RX certification, and just help people, just because it's when somebody messages me, I mean, obviously, when somebody messages you saying, hey, I'm struggling, I need some help, how can you help me? Can you, is there anything you can lead me towards doing to better my life, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever. So I think that's just been my biggest goal on that, is basically to help people.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's rewarding. And I literally get hundreds of messages a day. And, fortunately, I now have a place to send them. So because initially I was typing out 3-paragraph answers. And when you're doing that 200 times a day, you're like, I just can't do it anymore. And so now I'm saying, go see this video, go see the FAQ at MeetRx, come join us at MeetRx, ask the question directly, because, I can sit there and I don't mind talking and doing answers, but if I've got to type the whole thing out, I'm like, man, that's just,
Yeah.
I don't mind helping people, but there's a point where, you've got to kind of meet me halfway type of thing. And that's good for you. Here's the deal. I don't know. So you're 40, you said you're 44.
Yep.
Did you ever sort of have any relationship with the healthcare system? Were you on medications? Did you have stuff like that going on?
No, fortunately for me, I never have. I've never been on any sort of medication at all. Obviously just your standard ibuprofen, Tylenol, crap like that. Good side note, since I started keto and carnivore, I haven't taken a single ibuprofen in 2 years. So
yeah, this is something that I, as an orthopedic surgeon, found remarkable, many years ago when I first started seeing this. And then, today it's so commonplace. I constantly see people saying my joints stop hurting. That doesn't happen for every single person, but it happens so frequently that I just, I think there's so much there biologically going on. And then there's some data out there that supports that. And then the other thing you addressed was, you talked about a little bit was mental health. So do you mind talking a little bit more about that? Because, a lot of people have, that have obesity. There's a correlation between that and mental health issues. And is it the inflammatory nature of being overweight? There's a lot of speculation to that. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but what was your experience with sort of mood and mental health with changing diet?
Well, I noticed when I switched to keto, I just didn't feel there, just obviously physically and mentally, but I'm going to backtrack a little bit. In 2010, I lost my brother to suicide. So that's kind of what really opened my eyes to how mental health affects physical health and how physical health affects mental health. So that was another one of my goals when I decided to get rid of all the crap I was doing, was to fix my mental health. And I did notice, as I got rid of sugar, as I got rid of the carbs and everything else, just my wherewithal just started improving tenfold. It was like I just felt more alive, and I was more there, I was more present. And that's been basically my biggest driver for the whole mental health aspect of it. Because I posted this 1,000 times. If you don't have good physical health, you're not going to have good mental health. If you don't have good mental health, you're not going to have good physical health. They go hand in hand. You kind of have to have both. And, I know there's people out there on medication. Like I said, fortunately, I've never had to deal with medication, antidepressants, anything like that. So I don't know if that even helps people. I kind of feel like it doesn't. But that's kind of been my biggest driver towards the mental health aspect of getting into carnivore, getting into keto and all that.
Yeah, I think that is, the point you make about the physical and health and mental health relationship being there, and it certainly clearly is. No one feels good mentally when they feel poor physically. You just don't feel good when you hurt every day. That wears on your mental health. And same with chronic pain patients. These people, you think about when you hurt something, you have this acute pain, you stub your toe or bang your knee. And then these people have that background pain going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can't sleep. They're constantly in pain. That wears on you mentally. I mean, it's exhausting. I mean, your
Okay.
cortisol is through the roof the whole time. I mean, it's so there is definitely the relationship, but I think, just carrying around excess weight, carrying around excess inflammation does the same thing to a degree. You pointed out that there's people in your life that don't support you. Have they not witnessed the change that has occurred to you? And is that not sort of something they can say, wait a minute? I mean, it's obvious you're doing better. I mean, is there any thought to that?
I wish there was. I really wish there was. It's just they don't get it. They don't understand it. And I've been trying to get my fiance to switch some things about her daily habits as far as sugar goes, and it doesn't seem to click. So I try. But yeah, no, I guess they don't see the enough change or something, or just understand how it works.
Yeah, I think that, part of the problem for many people is the people who are closest to us sort of know us too well, and they know that we're not perfect people, and therefore they discount or dismiss anything we say. A
Yeah.
lot of times, and Ken Barry, he calls it the powdered butt syndrome with parents, because they were like, they remember you were a little baby, and what are you going to do to tell them to, I mean, I've been fortunate with, particularly my dad. He just says, okay, I like meat anyway. And he was pretty easy to convince. The rest of my family is kind of, their mother, sister, they're kind of not into it. My girlfriend and, my son, because I cook all the meals and they like what I cook and they're not complaining. And so they're both about 90%. Well, my girlfriend in particular is about 90%. The boy, probably 70%. He eats meat every single meal. And, the thing that makes me annoyed is he complains when I don't have real high-end meat. It's like, oh, I like this prime stuff better. I'm like, man, dude, you're 7 years old. You're lucky to get anything. There's kids who can't get that. And so, oh, we're going to have this steak or that. And, it's kind of funny. But yeah, so I mean, that is the thing I've seen. We've got this community. We've got 50 people or so here. Look, they're in here supporting each other. And this is why I think of the negatives of social media, of this online virtual stuff, and there are many, many negatives, don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of problems with that. This is one of, I think, the positive things, because many of these probably, I would say, probably a large percentage of people in this room don't have, sort of unquestioned family support. There's probably somebody with a family member saying, you're doing the wrong thing. I don't disagree. I disagree. You're going to die. Yeah, we're all going to die. Guess what? I mean, it's kind of like, so it is tough. So I think one of these things, and what Mark Sisson's doing, it's kind of funny you mentioned Mark, because I've sat down with Mark on a number of occasions, and he has really switched his stance on the big ass salads. And at least last I talked to him, he's like, well, I've got X amount of calories I'm allowing myself, and most of it's going to be higher quality and it's meat. And I think the vegetables have less of a beneficial role. He thinks more in the line of maybe textural more than anything, rather than
That's awesome.
proven unmitigated health benefits. So it's interesting there. So I mean, do you have any sort of goals or challenges? Or I'm pretty much athletic and performance driven, or any metrics or places you want to go or things you want to accomplish with either this or just in general?
Long-term goal, like I said, is just to get that certification, and continue the education on lifestyle of eating and health and fitness and all that stuff. And I enjoy helping people. I think that's my longest term goal. I do want to, because like I said before, I was in the middle of Danny Vega's Carnivore Keto cut when this all went down and the gyms closed. So I do enjoy those challenges. I'm going to redo that. I watch you all the time, and I think the things you do and the shape you're in is goals for me. Because I'm 44 years old. Like I said, I am getting older, and it's just, I just want to keep progressing that way and not the other way. So that would definitely be one of my long terms right there.
Yeah, I mean, there's I like I said, I got a decade on you pretty much. I'm 53, and I don't see any limitations with age. Honestly, I think you can. I mean, I think you just put in the work. I mean, everything else is pretty much an excuse for the most part. I think so. The challenges, and that's one of the reasons. I started World Carnivore Month 3 years ago, because I realize that, you know, and it's in January is always a great time for a diet challenge. Everybody's, you know, they just bloated from Christmas and like, oh my God, I just gained 10 pounds. And so that has been something, you know, we find that works really well. These 30-day challenge, 75-day challenge, 60-day challenges, whatever. I mean, it really sucks people in. And I think it's like tomorrow's May, we're doing a 31-day challenge. And I try to get people just to, you know, just give it a try. I mean, gosh, 30 days, 31 days. What is the downside? You know, I mean, just trying, because there'll be many people that will, I mean, they'll literally be blown away. I mean, they'll be like 3 days in, they're like, my God, I'm not depressed, or my God, my knee stopped hurting. I mean, not everybody, but many people do. And then they really get sort of into this stuff. And then whether they do it long-term or not, many of them do, or at least they figure out that food diet makes such a role in their health. And if that's just if that was the only message to come out of this, that would be fine with me. And I think the secondary message is meat is good for us. And then the other message is, you know, maybe plants aren't as good as they're cracked out to be for many people. And I think we just kind of make that progression. But even physicians are out there saying, well, you know, diet doesn't really make an impact on this disease. You know, it's amazing to me that there's still gastroenterologists that say, and these are guys that deal with the digestive system, and they're saying, well, food doesn't really have a role in irritable bowel syndrome or inflammatory bowel disease like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. It's autoimmune. And I'm like, you know, this is, you know, I mean, this is the direct contact point of everything that comes in, and you're telling me it doesn't have a role. And I think that's just amazing that they could actually do that.
It doesn't make any sense.
Do you, so tell me about, oh, I was going to ask you. So tell me about your exercise. You're doing some rowing. What other kind? Are you doing strength training? Oh, this one I want to ask you about. There is a definite, you know, I think within the carnivore community, I mean, there's a couple different sort of people that gravitate one way. Are you someone that is sort of ketogenic and eating, I mean, ketogenic macros? Are you eating more protein relatively? I mean, I know you call yourself the keto carnivore, but what is it? I mean, or do you just don't measure? I mean, are you still measuring ketones? What are your thoughts on ketones, high fat, and carnivore? Or are you more of a higher protein version of it?
I would say more higher protein version of it. I don't measure. I do check ketones once in a while. You know, we got the Keto Coach 4-day or whatever it is coming up here on May 4th. But I don't track. I was really big into tracking when I first started. And if anybody has ever tracked your macros, it is a pain in the ass. It's just, you know, it's mentally draining as well. So I stopped tracking quite a while back. I was tracking for the Keto Cut, and again, stopped after the gyms closed. So I would say protein driven.
You know, that's something that, you know, I've, you know, again, that works for me pretty well. But I mean, like I said, my goal has always been lean mass and performance as an athlete. And I tend to kind of eat higher protein. Do you eat, you know, frequency of meals once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, or what does your meal frequency stuff look like?
Mostly once a day. On the weekend, sometimes I'll do 2 a day. Basically, my day starts out with a cup of coffee and my electrolytes and my vitamins. And then late afternoon to break the fast, I sometimes do a fat coffee or just like a Primal blend. Primal Coffee Company is my absolute favorite. And then I'll usually eat my dinner around 5 or 6, and that's it.
Have you tried to go without coffee? Is that something you've messed with? Do you find that coffee's gives you any trouble at all?
No, nope, never had a problem with coffee.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's some people that swear by giving it up. There's other people that just they're totally fine with it. And I've never been a coffee drinker, never liked it, never wanted it, never desired it. So I've never really had to deal with it. You know, it's kind of, you know, kind of like you right now with what I'm doing is it's once a day, you know, I'm probably getting 350 grams of protein in my one meal a day, which is, I eat a lot. I mean, a pretty big one meal a day. And then today, I find that I need to reload up on fat about every 4 to 5 days. And today's my sort of fat refeed day. And so I'm trying to pace it today because normally I get in there and it's like, okay, fat refeed day, and I just gorge. And then my stomach hurts and I don't feel good. So I'm trying to space it out because my goal is, you know, because I usually eat like an early afternoon meal with the way my day goes. And then I cook dinner for my family, because I'm once a day, I don't get to eat with them, but I'm sitting there enjoying time. So my goal today is to not gorge so much early on that I can eat dinner with the family.
Right.
Because I cook pretty well. I'm making these really nice foods, and then I can't, I'm like, well, you guys enjoy. I'm just considering what you guys eat. So I have not eaten breakfast yet today, which normally I'd get up and cook a big old plate of eggs and bacon or something like that. And then, have a few other things with it and load up, maybe make some of those little chaffle things and just gorge. But I haven't done that yet today. So I'm even though it's a refeed day, I'm going to wait a little bit and see how I deal with that. So far, so good. I feel pretty good, and that's a thing. As many people, I've talked about this before, ghrelin, which is our appetite hormone, is lowest in the morning. So we tend to find skipping breakfast to be pretty easy. And when you do one meal a day, when is that? What is the timing you like to do on that? Is it lunch, dinner, breakfast?
It's dinner, usually about 5 or 6 o'clock. And when I'm working, actually, I usually work during the day, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it works out perfect as far as my work schedule goes too. So.
Yeah, I think that's probably for many people a good strategy for once a day. How often is that something you do every day, or do you kind of throw a little variety in there from time to time?
Pretty much every day. Saturdays, sometimes I will have some bacon and eggs in the morning, and by morning, usually noon or 1. So, yeah, it's pretty much every single day.
And so what is what is it? So if you're eating more protein based, what does the food look like?
Well, if you look at my Instagram, it's usually a steak, couple eggs, and bacon. I mean, it's pretty damn basic, actually. I do like to switch up, like you said. The other night I made some pulled pork, slow them out for 8 hours, then put it on some chaffles. That was pretty dang tasty.
It's kind of funny that chaffles are sort of becoming more popular.
I know, right?
I'd seen them a while back, and I just kind of noticed them. Like, not really. And then I looked into it, and like I said, because I try to, because I'm not cooking just for myself, I'm cooking for the family, and so I still got a little bit of an omnivorous family, so I try to direct them more towards animal product based items when I can, so I can make a sandwich out of chaffles. Like my kid was having sliced beef and cheese on chaffles as sandwiches, and he's fine with that. Doesn't have to have the bread, and but he still eats. He eats some fruit and stuff like that. But I mean, he's fine with that. Are you finding that at work that you have success with converting people, or do people? Because I guess you're kind of like the boss for a lot of people. They probably give you less of a hard time, I imagine.
Yeah, no, I actually had a few people on my staff that did convert over to keto for a while, and I have one guy that converted to carnivore actually, and he's been loving it. So yeah, half the staff thinks I'm absolutely crazy. Half of them are like, "Wow, you look better. I'm going to try this."
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing. If you get half the people to do it, you've got you're far better than what you were before. That's for sure.
Right.
How much protein? I mean, you said you weigh 170. How much protein do you take in per day? Do you know? Or I mean, I know you don't track, but I mean, you haven't, like, how much meat would that be?
I would say, let's take a look. Yeah, I haven't tracked in a while, like I said. The other night I had a 1.5 pound steak, 2 eggs, and a little bit of sauerkraut. So that's basically an average dinner.
Okay. How about salt, electrolytes, things like that?
Salt, Redmond real salt every single day. Love it on the steak. It's like, whoa, that's all I put on my steak. Electrolytes, yep, I drink electrolytes every morning when I take my little morning regimen of vitamins. So that's a daily thing for me. The Relight, Redmond Relight, take those pretty much every day as well. So electrolytes, salt, all day, every day.
And do you find that you have any, I mean, look, so some people will complain of cramping, poor sleep, cravings? Did you deal with any of those things, and if so, how did you sort of improve those issues?
No cramping. I think poor sleep was a big thing for me. And being in the business that I am in, there are 1 or 2 nights a week where I am at work till 4 a.m. the following day. So when I made the switch into keto and then into carnivore, my sleep, even if I do have that 4 a.m. shift and I'm home at 5 a.m. and asleep for 6 hours and up in the afternoon, my sleep doesn't get messed up. Back when I was eating the sad way, I would be, I mean, it was a mental mind, you know what, and it didn't work. So I think just the sleep aspect of switching everything has been huge. Cramping, like I said, no, never really dealt with that. Inflammation, yeah, it sucked, but sleep has been great.
Yeah, I mean that's such an important part. You know, if you're not sleeping well, life definitely gets hard for
Oh,
people.
it's terrible.
Now, do you have any children or family or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a 14-year-old boy. His name is Phoenix. I have a 7-year-old stepson. His name is Jack, and my fiance Taylor. So it's 4 of us. My folks live out in Telluride, Colorado, so we see them once or twice a year. Other than that, yeah.
I went skiing at Telluride one time. It's very steep there.
Oh, I know, but isn't it beautiful?
That's a pretty place. So, I mean, do the kiddos are they fans of meat? Are you got any sort of I mean, are they like being brainwashed to think they need to go plant-based, or what's the deal with the kids?
My son loves steak. We do have a split household. So when he goes to his mom's, he is on the crap diet. You know, she's been doing better of not getting him soda and stuff, but he would eat steak every day if he lived with me 7 days a week. He would definitely eat steak every single day. The 7-year-old is one of the pickiest eaters I have ever met in my life. So he finds one thing he likes and he'll eat that for a month or 2 straight, and then find something else he likes. He's stuck on chicken nuggets and hash browns. So there's no changing that. His dad, fortunately, is very anti-sugar. So the 7-year-old doesn't really eat ice cream, doesn't eat chocolate, doesn't eat sugar and stuff like that. But it's a little bit different having the mixed household and trying to keep diet in line. It really doesn't work. So that's been a thing for us.
Yeah, I mean, as a father of, I'm in the same sort of situation as I have, some of my kids part-time. And so it's fortunately, they're not on junk food. Their mom is also a physician. And so she's on board with eating meat, but
Nice.
not to the degree that I am, I guess. But, it is challenging when you got a couple household and grandma and grandpa and handing them, garbage and that sort of stuff. But, ultimately, you do the best you can, which I think is all any of us can ultimately do. Do you find that you get a lot of pushback on social media from what you're doing? Are you getting, because some of us, it's kind of funny. Some people feel like they've arrived once they start getting attacked on social media for their particular dietary choices, which I think is crazy. I mean, you should be able to eat whatever the hell you want, but for some people, it's a religion. It's and I'm talking about mostly the plant-based people, or there's people that are sort of, the balanced diet zealots. You got to eat vegetables and fruits, or you're stupid or an idiot. I mean, we see this just as much, sort of vinegar coming from these guys as some of the plant-based people, because how dare you step away from the mainstream narrative and what works for me. I do fine on a balanced diet. Why don't you? What's wrong with you? I mean, do you get any of that coming your way?
I haven't. I've had a couple just random, "You're a terrible person for killing an animal" type comment. Nothing that I've seen on yours, which, man, I get a kick out of some of those. They are mind blowing, but nothing crazy yet. And if I kind of actually look forward to the day that I do get a crazy one, just because it'd be kind of fun to toy with them a little bit. But yeah, nothing crazy yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's maybe coming, or, I don't know. I mean, maybe the censorship stuff. I know we're seeing, as you probably are aware, and one of the reasons I'm glad we have this MeterX platform is, I put up, there was these doctors in Bakersfield that commented on, whether or not we should end the lockdown or not. And whether you agree with them or not, I mean, should YouTube pull that down? And they did. And then I had excerpted a piece of that and put it on my YouTube channel, and that got removed too. And I'm just kind of like,
oh,
it's like, okay, you don't agree with what they're saying. I mean, what happens in, 2 months and you find out what they said was probably correct or not? It doesn't really matter. I mean, but should we be suppressing dissent in speech? Is this China? Is this, is this 1984 or whatever? I mean, it's, Animal Farm, something like that. So, I just wonder if at some point it seems like, some platforms are bigger. They've got their pet issues. How dare you disagree with the CDC or the World Health Organization? And if you do, we're going to deplatform you or remove your content. And therefore, it's like who elected them to be the arbiters of truth, and like the World Health Organization, for instance, when they've been shown to be wrong on many, many occasions, and and then they adjust and change when they get their own data. And if the data changes, should that mean that no one should ever question this stuff? I disagree with that. Even if you disagree, I mean, there are people out there that put up stuff which I totally disagree with. I totally disagree with people that think the Earth is flat, some of this other stuff. But I don't care. They can say what they want. This is what our country was founded on. And anyway, I don't know if you have any concerns of that. That's, like I said, that's why I think, a guy like Rob Wolf is doing the same thing as we're doing here. And hopefully these platforms will continue to grow, as we are. I mean, we are growing at a decent rate. And I'm very happy to see that people are appreciating what we're doing. I unfortunately have to go do another podcast here in about 5 minutes. So I want to just thank you, Jonathan, for coming on. I want to just give people an opportunity, let people know where they can find out a little bit more about you on social media or any other places you might be reached.
On Instagram at the Keto Colombian, same thing on Facebook. I do have my personal page on Facebook, just Jonathan Merz. That's pretty much where I put everything up.
All right. Well, I would continued success. Like I said, hopefully the gyms will open up. Obviously, I'm very fortunate that I spent years putting together a home gym and lots of money over decades, because I like to work out, and I just, so I can train at home. And you can, when I go on vacation, sometimes I'll just go get a big rock and throw rocks around, lift rocks and throw rocks and push rocks and pull rocks. And I mean, so it's doable. I mean, it's harder to track that. You don't have the feedback, but when you've done hard work, and it's good doing hard work every day. Okay, guys, thank you. We'll see everybody tomorrow, I suppose. You guys stay safe and stock up on some meat in case I don't think we're going to run out. I think there might be a little dip in certain products a little bit, but I don't think we'll have any issues getting that. But long term, as I said, we need to decentralize the food system and support the ranchers, guys. Okay, Meaty May, guys, talk it up. Tomorrow's May 1st. This is a good chance to get more people to try it. Just tell people, hey, Meaty May is confined. Go to meterx.com and get everything you need to get started, and we'll have another successful month. All right, guys.
Awesome.
Happy end of April. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.